Hi, and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. I'm Lisa Curcio. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a holiday Z-fold card in easy steps. And this is not your typical Z-fold card. This is a triple Z-fold card. You're going to love the variations I have to share with you. I'm going to make one right alongside you today, and then I have several other samples to share with you. So don't miss that free project sheet that's going to be linked down in the video description below. It's going to contain pictures, cutting dimensions, and supplies for all the cards I'm going to share. Also, if you are here with us for the premiere in the live chat, we want to make sure that you sign into your Gmail account so that you can chat with us live. We would love to interact with you. You'll see that name in blue off to the side with mine. It is Gina Curcio Holly. Gina is my daughter, an avid stamper, and we are both here to interact with you and answer your questions. One other thing I want to call your attention to and give a huge shout out to our YouTube channel members. These people have a small crown in front of their name. They have joined Lisa's Stamp Studio's membership program for just 99 cents. It provides us a way of being supported by you, our viewers. It allows you to have custom badges by your names, and you even get custom emojis. And better yet, you're going to have access to exclusive merchandise that we have designed by just being a channel member. You can find all the information by clicking the join button, which is next to the subscribe button on my homepage of my YouTube channel. We would absolutely love to have you join us. What are you doing on October 5th, which happens to be World Card Making Day? I hope that you will join myself, Gina, Kylie Bertucci, who is the #1 Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Australia, and her husband Bruno Bertucci and I for a full day of the online stamping retreat. This is session 3 for this year, and as always, our day is comprised of lots of fun fold cards. You'll find 6 live demonstrations throughout the day. They're going to be product prize patrols, and it says 48 prizes there, but we've upped our game to 50 this time. So we would love to have you join us. The best part about this event is you do not have to join us live for the entire thing. Once you are registered, you are automatically included in all the prize patrol giveaways. You have lifetime access to all the content, which means none of the videos and the tutorials go away, and you will get a full color PDF tutorial for all of the projects we create. That doesn't just include the 6 demonstrations, it includes all of our alternative samples as well. Our event is held on a custom platform through YouTube, which makes it easy for you to access. We would love to have you join us. Registration is open now. Go to onlinestampingretreat.com. All right, we're ready. Let's get started on today's project. Because this is a triple Z fold, we are going to do it in sections just to make it super easy for you. There is nothing difficult about this, but I chose to put designer series papers on all of my triple layers. Please keep in mind that as optional, you can certainly use the cardstock as your base and add just a few or just colored cardstock. This first piece is 4 1/4 by 11. We're going to do 2 simple score lines on this one. The first one is going to be at 2 3/4 of an inch, and I'm using my paper trimmer with Stampin' Up!, which I absolutely love. It includes both the scoring, which is the light blade, and the dark blade for cutting. They navigate up and down out of the way. You keep them on the clear track at the exact same time. There is a ledge here at the top, also one at the bottom to keep your cardstock nice and straight. So I'm making sure my cardstock is aligned here at the top, and at 2 3/4 of an inch, we're going to score. Now the next one is over at 5 1/2 inches, and we are going to score. While the pieces of paper and the score lines will vary on each of the tiers, the folding is going to be the same. So the very first fold here on the left, which I know is going to be difficult for you to see, is going to be a mountain fold and then a valley fold. So that's where the Z fold comes into play. Now I'm going to set this aside for just a moment because we're going to work on the tiers one at a time. I've got my bone folder here and I'm going to reinforce those creases. Now none of us scores perfectly, so this is a good time to check those ends and just make any adjustments that you need. Once it has been reinforced, I'm going to open it up and lay it flat. This is going to be the easiest way to decorate it. Now keep in mind there are 3 sections. I've chosen Adorable Designer Series paper, and this comes from Snowy Scenes. And like all the Stampin' Up! Designer Series papers, they are double-sided. So I'm going to flip this over, which is going to be my wrong side, and I'm using my precision glue press, my best friend. I can get in all those corners nice and easy, and I'm going to work within the perimeter of the outside of that cardstock up to the score line to try and leave a nice equal border all the way around. I'm going to work now on the next panel and do the exact same thing. Now, if you don't know about this glue press, let me tell you a little bit about it. I absolutely love it. I have basal joint arthritis in my hands, so squeezing a regular glue bottle is really difficult and painful for me. This has been a game changer for me. It comes with Nuvo glue already in the bottle. Go ahead and use it, don't waste it. But when it was empty, I used the multi-purpose liquid glue sold in my online store and I squeezed it inside this empty bottle. You get 2 bottles. This is the narrower of the 2 needle tips. The other one is slightly larger. The reason I love it so much is because I don't really have to press or pull. Watch. You're going to notice that I put just a slight amount of pressure here before the glue comes out. This one is almost empty. I have found myself using this quite more often than I expected. Because of the precision tip, I'm able to get into all those little narrow areas nice and easy and get those little points all covered as well. The other great thing about the press is that it comes with a stand, and you'll notice that the needle tip sits on that little pink stopper at the bottom, and that in essence creates an airtight seal so that the glue doesn't dry out. At the end of the day, when you're done crafting, there's a decorative needle tip that you'll go ahead and screw right on top of there for storage. I love it because it's condensed and it takes up a very small amount of space on my work surface, and I can refill the bottle with any liquid glue that I love. My multi-purpose liquid glue in the online store is my favorite because it's strong and it dries very, very quickly. All right, our first tier is done. Our second tier has very simple score lines. The first one is going to be at 4 1/4 of an inch. Again, using that ledge here at the top, and I'm going to score. The next score line is at 7 inches. So I'm going to open up the extendable arm here, and I'm going to navigate the paper over. One reason I love the trimmer is because I can do scrapbooking as well, nice and easy. Just like before, we are going to do the exact same type of fold. The first one here on the left is a mountain and then a valley. Now, teaching this, I'd like to do it step by step to make it easy for you. Again, align those edges to make sure they're nice and even. You want your card to lay real pretty. And then we're going to open this up and flatten it out so that we can attach our pieces. This layer, I opted for a different designer series paper. Now, you might be asking if I need to use all the same pattern going all the way across. The answer is no. When it's your card, it's never wrong. Do what you like. I found visually when this was done that it was easier for me to use the same pattern all the way across. Again, with Stampin' Up's Designer Series paper, it's absolutely permissible to mix and match because of the color coordination. This last one will go here. I will tell you too, because of the coordination, I was able to mix and match Designer Series papers from several packages to make this card. And that's not something you can do with most companies because the reds are different and the blues are different. The first paper came from the Snowy Scenes. This one came from Take a Bow. I'm going to put that second layer to the side, and now we're going to work on the third tier, which is this strip here. We're going to do 2 score lines. The first one is 5 1/2 inches, so I'm going to navigate there, keeping it nice and straight. I'm going to use that light blade to score, and the next one is at 8 1/4 of an inch, and we'll do the exact same thing here. Like we've done before, the first score line is going to be here, mountain fold, and the second one, valley fold. So again, we'll have that Z. Once again, I'm looking to make sure my paper is nice and aligned, and I'm going to reinforce those creases. Whenever you're making a fun fold card, you want to make sure that it's got lots of stability. This time, my Designer Series paper comes from an entirely different package. You might be looking at it thinking, that has birds on it. Because the Designer Series papers with Stampin' Up! Are double-sided, you have so many options to mix and match, and the color coordination is perfect. This one is going to get bordered here. This pattern paper is called Nests of Wings. This paper, you can see, works really, really pretty with the Coastal Cabana cardstock. Keep in mind that a lot of the papers have variations of tones in them so that you can mix and match easily. We're going to do one more panel and then we're ready to assemble the card and then decorate. We have our 3 tiers here. You're going to notice that I was not particular to make sure that my pattern on these stripes was going in the exact same direction. Now with a Z fold, it is extremely forgiving. And the reason I did that is I hated wasting a piece of Designer Series paper and cutting a whole new piece to get the exact same direction, because the Take a Bow paper comes in 6 by 6. Because of the Z fold, again, very, very forgiving. We're going to start with these 2 tiers. This piece is going to get attached to here. So I'm going to flip this upside down. I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet. Adhesive, liquid glue, and hot glue will not stick to it, which is one reason why I love it. I'm using my Stampin' Seal Plus for this next step. This is a crazy strong adhesive, so I am assured that it's not going to fall apart. I'm going to place 1 row and then 2 rows, and you can do 3 if you'd like. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate here to the bottom left corner, and I'm going to line this bottom left to it, making them as even as possible. I'm also going to look all the way across to make sure that it's even as I lay it down. This end now we're going to flip back on top of itself, and we are going to add adhesive here along the outside. Again, I'm going to use 2 rows. With the card nice and flat to make it easy for your hands, you're going to align the bottom, and that outside edge should match, and then just press. So now we have 2 tiers. The third tier is here, and we are going to do the exact same thing. The back side of this is going to attach down here. So I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to add a couple rows of adhesive here, and I'm going to line up this bottom edge with this bottom edge, looking to mirror that cardstock. So now it's literally stacked. Now before I press, I want to stretch this out and make sure that it's nice and even before I press that down. That adhesive is not forgiving. You're going to need to make sure that it's nice and even. We're going to flip this back on itself, and then we're going to do a couple rows here of adhesive. Again, stretching out the card so it's nice and straight, and then just matching up the bottom and the outside edge. That is it. It's going to take you longer to cut the designer series paper than it is for you to put the card together. When we're all done, because we use the bone folder, you're going to see the card is going to pivot and create 3 triple Z folds to this card. It folds flat. It will fit in a regular standard A2 envelope. It may be a tad thicker than normal. I was able to get this under an ounce because I didn't over embellish it, but please keep that in mind. The less weight of the cardstock layers, obviously the less weight of the overall finished card. Now let's talk about options for decorating it, and I can't wait to share with you the other samples I made for you as well. I've got some scrap basic white cardstock here, and I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the Memento Black ink pad, and these images are all from that same suite of products. That designer series paper has a coordination in a bundle called Snowy Wonder. Now, while you can buy these separately, buying in a bundle saves you 10%, and quite frankly, you're going to want the dies because these make amazing snow globes as well. You can see the shapes that are here. Some of these dies will also die cut images of the designer series paper, which really will save a lot of time this holiday season. So all my images are coming from the stamp set. I've mounted the small candy cane here, and I'm going to stamp that right here on top of the scrap paper. My next step is with Coastal Cabana ink. Again, this is the color coordination with Stampin' Up! You're going to love that the cardstock matches the ink pad and the markers and the accessories, designer series paper colors, and so on. Inside that stamp set, there's some really fun landscape pieces. So there's a little mountain here. Without re-inking, I'm going to stamp it again, which is going to give me one that's a little bit lighter, but it's going to create some density on my card. There's also a slightly smaller little mountain image, and we'll stamp one of those here. Finally, we've got a couple different size snowflakes. I'm going to stamp a couple of the large ones, and then we'll do several of the small ones. Now, I did die cut all of these ahead of time just to make it easier for today's video. There are some Christmas trees, so let's go ahead and ink those up as well. And we're going to need a couple of those. And then finally with Real Red. Now, these colors comprise the designer series paper, which is why I chose them. So we're going to stamp a few of these little gift boxes, and I'm leaving a little space between them so that they can all be die cut. You can see the only image here that requires coloring is the candy cane. Now, if you're new to Stampin' Blend's alcohol-based markers, I want to give you a couple tips. Now, if you're like me, you may pull out your Stampin' Blend's markers and really be confused on what color they are by looking at the caps. So Gina and I designed these labels. You'll be able to find them on my website under Shop Digital Downloads. All you'll have to do is print them on white cardstock, use a 3/8" circle punch, which we've got linked for you, and then attach them with the glue dot. There's a short video there on my website that shows you how to use them. You will get a light and a dark shade of every Blends marker that you use. They are dual-ended. One has a chisel tip, the other one has a brush tip. I'm not going to color the whole thing, but one of the questions I get asked an awful lot is, how do you shade those little tiny areas? I'd like to add a little dot of darker color, but that's completely optional. Keep in mind when the area is small, the best thing to do is to dab the marker on instead of streaking with it so that you stay within the lines. Remember, any alcohol-based marker has the ability to spread the color as the alcohol evaporates. Now, as I mentioned, I have those already die cut for you, and let me bring those out for you now to see. So we've got our mountains, we've got some trees, we've got the candy cane and the presents, and of course the snowflakes. Now, while you're looking at this thinking, wow, that's a lot of die cutting, let me give you another great tip when you die cut. These all use separate dies, so you can die cut literally 5 or 6 different images at the same time. And if you're struggling with getting them to stay in place, the smaller the die, the more challenging it is to keep it from moving when it's going through your die cutting machine. Once you get it lined up, I'm going to encourage you to try the Post-it cover-up tape. I love this stuff. It comes in a massive roll. You can make the pieces even smaller if you'd like. You can attach the pieces here on the handle of your machine. But what you're going to do is you're going to anchor down the die to the image so that when you put it through your die cutting machine, it's not going to move. You'll find this linked for you in my other uses for non-Stampin' Up! Products over on my website under Shop, My Favorite Things, and then Craft Room Favorites. Finally, I knew I was going to need a greeting, but I was having a real dickens of a time getting a nice solid image out of this. So that's when I brought in my Misty. This is the mini Misty, which I absolutely love. It's teal on the outside, which means that the hinges here have been encased in metal, which creates a lot of stability and makes this extra strong. I'm going to take my cardstock and I'm going to place it down in the corner. I'm going to take the magnet to secure that cardstock in place. Now I'm going to need some room for this because I know that I'm going to die cut it. We're going to close that hinge, which is going to pick up the photopolymer stamp. Now photopolymer tends to be sticky on the cardstock, so I always want to make sure that I've got my cardstock back in the corner for proper placement. For this card, I'm going to be using black Memento ink. I'm going to go ahead and ink up that image. I'm going to close the door. You can already see that it's not going to be perfect. You may have some glare from the studio lights, so forgive me. And I'm going to press. When I lift this, you're going to see that some of the letters did not come out well, but I'm not worried. Because I used the Misty and it has perfect placement, I can come back over here now and re-ink this as many times as I want to go over the image again and again to get the intensity that I need. My pressing tool is going to help me immensely. I can come back over to this end, which I can see is where I'm missing, and ink it up and then press one more time. Now this is something you could never do with a clear block, but I've got a beautiful dark crisp image now. Great for holiday cards as well, because you'll be able to bring in another piece of cardstock and do repeated images very, very easily. I'm using a damp microfiber cloth to clear off my stamp. You'll find the Misty and the pressing tool linked for you on my website under Shop, My Favorite Things, and then Craft Room Favorites. Inside the set of dies, you're going to notice that there's an arced piece here, which is intended to be for the base of the snow globes, regardless if you want the circle or the dome. But I thought it worked perfectly for this. So let's go ahead and let's line this up. Using that Post-it tape, once I have this aligned exactly where I want it, we're going to tack down the die to the cardstock using that tape, and let's run this through the die cutting machine. I'm going to pull the tape off, leaving the scrapped cardstock, and then I will remove the tape itself. That's going to allow me to reuse this tape over and over again, and now we've got a perfectly positioned greeting every time. One of the other beauties of the Snowy Scenes Designer Series paper are those images that we can actually use the coordinating dies to die cut, and that is exactly what I did here before you joined me. It doesn't die cut all of the images in the Designer Series paper, so one of those I just took my scissors to and cut around it. So now we have all of our images and we are ready to put this card together. Once again, I'm going to open up the card to make it as flat as possible, which will make it easier for me to use. With that lighter color mountain, I'm going to use my precision glue press to add a little bit of glue to the back end, and I'm going to attach that here. This is the larger mountain. I'm going to flip it over because I want it elevated. So I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool with that paper piercing tool attachment. And I'm going to add a couple dimensionals to the back side. Because the vast majority of my cards get mailed, I'm very cognizant to make sure that there's balance to the pieces so that the dimensionals are distributed evenly. There's that smaller mountain, and I'm going to flip that over as well. And I'm going to attach one of those here to the back side. That now will get adhered here to the right side of this larger mountain. I'm going to use my reversible tweezers for this next step. Remember that adorable little candy cane? Well, these tweezers are wonderful for these small images. I want to put it in his little hand, so I'm going to put a little dot right there of that glue, and I'm going to attach it as if it was hanging from his hand. And let that set. Remember, silicone craft sheet is fantastic for liquid glue because nothing will stick to it. I'm going to flip that over and I'm going to grab my dimensionals and we're going to elevate this image as well. So I'm going to make sure that these are well balanced. In those areas that are really tiny, if you don't think a full-size dimensional is going to fit without showing, there's also mini dimensionals, which I love, just to give you a little idea how they work. We'll attach one there and then we'll pierce off those backings with this tool. This image now is going to go to the right of these little mountains. Remember that greeting? Let's go ahead and flip that upside down as well. And this will be adding some dimensionals too. If this is your first time visiting my YouTube channel, thank you for being here. I would love to have you subscribe. You can click the subscribe button down next by the video title or on the home page of my channel. And then YouTube will send you notifications when I'm here sharing new content. We'd sure love to have you. Next, we're going to add some of those snowflakes. You can add them with dimensionals, which is what I did on my original card, but just to speed things up and to give you an alternative idea, we're going to use that press once again, and we're going to add some of those snowflakes here. I've got another small snowflake. We'll add a little drop of glue. You can see how wonderful this glue press is. Let's take one of these and place it here. And this last one, let's go ahead and let's play up that greeting a little bit. So I'm going to place this one up here in that little bit of a negative area. Again, dimensionals are optional. The great thing about this card is even though it closes and this is all you see, you have opportunities to decorate the other areas. But I'm going to caution you. You need to make sure that where you place the decorations, they won't show from the closure of the card unless you purposely want it to. I'm going to bring in that other penguin. I'm going to turn it upside down and we're going to add some dimensionals to the back side, just like we've done once before. With the backings all removed, I'm going to place him where I know he will not show. If you're not sure, you're going to want to close this. You can see that if I place him here, he's going to be well hidden. Had he been moved over a little bit to the right, his hat would probably show. Remember those gift boxes? Again, you can use dimensionals, which is how they're represented in your project sheet tonight. Or you can go ahead and use liquid glue like I am, which will just speed up the process just a little bit. I'm adding that precision glue to the back of each of these, and we're just going to make a cute little stack. This is going to allow us to bring down the red color or the poppy color, whichever you choose to use. And then finally, we've got those trees. Now, because adhesive is only here, you're able to slip these down inside. So I'm going to add a little glue here to the back side. And then I'm going to slip this down around here. Again, before I get too crazy, I want to make sure you're not going to be able to see it from the front. Let's take that last tree and we're going to change the elevation this time. Because the other one was hidden behind the bottom tier, we can actually move this one up just a little bit. My final step is just a few more snowflakes because we can also decorate these center panels if you'd like. Now, when you close the card, you're going to see originally what we designed, but when you open it, the tiers are going to be decorated as well. It has a great freestanding feature, but you might be thinking, where are we going to write and sign this card? It's going to be here on the back side. Now, I did this part ahead of time. I used this greeting from Reindeer Fun stamp set, which I'll show you in just a moment. Added some more of the snowflakes for coordination. I didn't have the heart to throw away that scrap. So I added it to the back side just for a cheerful holiday feel. We're going to add our liquid glue, getting it inside the corners. And you can see how little and how thin the glue can be for it to stick well. Looking for that nice equal border all the way around, and we'll press that in place. So now not only do they have a beautiful display on top of their mantle, they also have all of your sentiments and your signature on the back. If you prefer, great place for a family photo, and if you need to, there are additional areas here that you can add panels to write and sign. Very simple triple Z-fold card for the holidays, but let me share with you those other cards I created. This next card will use the Reindeer Fun Bundle stamp sets and coordinating dies. Now, the great thing about this is kind of a 2-for-1 die set. This is a builder die, which means these pieces are intended to go on top of each other to create a great headshot of the reindeer. Now, there's some great accessories here as well, but also the outline dies and a decorative die to use with the stamp set. And I love the greetings in here, and this is where I got the one I used on this card. Here is the completed card, and just like this card, I used 2 different designer series papers because of Stampin' Up's wonderful color coordination. One of the papers is Take a Bow, the other one is Reindeer Days. Now, don't let the name fool you. That designer series paper included those adorable gift boxes as well. I used a 3D embossing folder called Forever Plaid here for that circle, just to give it a little texture. This is all die cut. It was super easy. It had a simple embellishment, a little bit of ribbon for some shimmer, and then decorated my panels once again. You'll notice I kept with the same concept. Same paper across each of the tiers, but again, mix and match and see what interests you. The back of this card also provides ample space for a greeting or, of course, a family photo. But I also have one more for you. How many of you love to create Thanksgiving and fall cards? This bundle is actually brand new, and I fell in love with it because I loved the way I could build custom phrases. Anything pumpkin has my heart, and it immediately caught my attention. The coordinating dies will not only die cut the images, but allow you to die cut the script fonts for your cards and scrapbook pages. This one also uses 2 different designer series papers. Oh, the coordination, you gotta love that. This uses 2 markets, and the other one is Iconic Celebration Designer Series papers. I went with a very fall traditional color concept here and made my drink, obviously, pumpkin spice latte, right? Worked the greetings and the dies from that bundle here, and then when you open the card, oh, we've got a little extra pizzazz going on as well. I colored these donuts using the Stampin' Blends markers, quick and easy. They look realistic and they're lots of fun. And I doubt on camera that the wink of Stella is going to pick up on top of my whipped cream, but it is there and hopefully will show up in the photos inside your project sheet. Again, the back side, this calls for donuts, pie, and spice. A really fun Thanksgiving card for the fall as well. Regardless of what holiday you're creating your card for, you're going to find that this Triple Z fold creates lots of options for decorating it and for using that absolutely beautiful designer series paper. I want to know which one of those cards was your favorite. I can't wait to hear if you're going to use yours for a holiday or for another occasion, and which designer series paper are you going to use if you're going to use designer series paper. And if you love new ideas, I have you covered every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time with Stamp Studio memberships. For just $5 a month, I will send you an exclusive tutorial and project idea right to your inbox. Best of all, none of the photos in the tutorials are watermarked. So if you teach classes, clubs, events, or maybe you want to stamp with others and you're looking for ideas to distribute instructions for, I've got you covered. Whether you're a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator or not, this is absolutely for you. If level 1 is not enough for you, there is level 2 for $10 a month that includes everything in level 1 plus a monthly fun fold card. You'll get a discount for my PDF tutorial library, and everyone in level 2 is entered into a prize product giveaway every single month. You'll be able to find all the information over on my website in the red menu bar titled Memberships. While you're over on my website, scroll to the bottom. There's a small form for you to complete. I can add you to my free weekly e-newsletter, which is also going to give you more inspiration, and in addition to that, keep you up to date on all the sales and promotions and information going on here at Lisa's Stamp Studio. If you have enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and give it a thumbs up here on YouTube, which is a like. It helps me immensely. Again, if you haven't subscribed, make sure that you do so. We look forward to having you join us again next time. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great day.